Hi Internet, my name's Joe. I recently launched a little clothing thing called the Inward Markings Garment Company, and this is a daily vlog that I'm doing to both raise awareness of the brand and share ideas that I think are of general interest. The website is inwardmarkings.com and the Instagram is at inwardmarkings. Uh, Hopefully I'll be able to do this without rain interrupting, but if I pull out my umbrella and there's a slight disruption, you'll know that's why. I guess it's obvious, really. If someone pulls out an umbrella in weather like this, there can really be only one reason. If you are upset by illegal activity, profanity, or drug use, or anything like that, please tune out now. There's so much life to live, and you don't want to waste it getting upset at a video of insignificance in the greater scheme of things, I guess. And this is chapter 7. You'll need to watch the first six chapters to get an understanding of what I'm talking about today. So where I left off last time is just an extraordinary experience that is one of the things that I've had to reevaluate based on what I've experienced over the last couple of years. I'm not just this isn't just like a verbal autobiography. It's the things that I've chosen to share. There's significance to them, and that will become clearer over time. So before you come at me with whatever, because you possibly have fuck all else to do, watch the whole thing, and then evaluate. Assess things after doing that, because that's what you'll need to do. I know in an age where things happen in seconds, and we all want instant gratification. It's highly controversial to talk about, a kind of protracted process that you then consider afterward before forming some kind of opinion, which could potentially be, I don't really have an opinion on that. I don't know enough. I'll need to do some further thinking. Again, really controversial ideas, but that it's possible that could occur. And where I left off last time, I was talking about my peer education work based in community development in the harm reduction area here in Australia, which is about reducing the harms associated with highly risky drug use that occurs outside of the legislative framework that exists in Australia, where certain drugs are illegal and taboo and have a ongoing stigma attached to them, and other drugs are legal. And just to kind of start off, I have nothing against alcohol and tobacco, etc. But I just continue to have experiences with dickheads who, without informing themselves in an age where, you just log onto your smartphone and bang, you can find out information within seconds, have convinced themselves that they have a right to moral superiority or sanctimony, and use the fallacious notion that they're not drug users, and so therefore drug users are somehow lesser. But really, if you actually sit down and properly consider it, you don't need to sit down. What they're actually saying is, I'm better than you because I follow certain rules. So if that's how you want to live your life and perceive the world, that's great. But fucking get to the bottom of it and just say to people, fuck you for breaking the rules. Don't say fuck you for being a drug user, or fuck you for being a junkie or whatever. Actually be clear about what it is that you're saying. You're saying you're a rule breaker, so fuck you. And then you can sort of look at your own behavior and think, well, have I ever broken rules? Do I break rules? What are rules? What is the validity of rules? If a rule changes after a significant period of time, does that mean those who broke the rule in the first place are exonerated in some way, or there's some kind of reassessment of one's thinking that needs to occur, like for example, whether it be um, gay rights or anything like that. So that's a very superficial kind of touching on the matter that I've done. So there'll be people who've got far more to say and who are far more profound in terms of their understanding that you should go seek out. And now with the internet, it's a lot more. There's a lot more that can be accessed, obviously. And so, moving on from the organisation where I had that experience to where I'm at now, where I moved on to next. I stayed within that field, but worked in areas like training. So training that involved not drug users directly, but those people working with drug users. Some policy stuff. So the very next role is of significance because that was where the third near-death experience that I'll talk about occurred. So before I proceed, I do want to concede that I was sleep deprived at the time. So if anyone objects to my claim that this is a near-death experience, all good, fucking, that's fine. I can live my life happily going forward, knowing that I've had one less near-death experience. I'm not looking for a fucking contract out of this or anything. So, training. I used to do training like throughout the state of Victoria, which Melbourne is the capital city of, and that was predominantly in rural locations. So there'd be a lot of driving and a lot of going directly to venues where I conducted the training from home because of long drives, etc. And so one particular morning I arose really early, and regardless of the caffeine intake of that morning, which was just still really tired driving. And as you guys all know, driving over long stretches can be soporific. So, but I had the stressful factor of needing to be at the venue at a particular time. I hope you can still see me. That's all right. Just fucking listen from here on in. Don't worry about looking at me. And so as you'd expect on rural roads, it would involve, being in a hurry involves overtaking massive trucks, semi-trailers, that kind of thing. And I was doing that successfully for quite a long time, and getting more tired as I drove on, but just adamant that I was gonna get to this venue on time. And this one truck, really long truck and loud and big, and for some reason I think part of it was a combination of impatience and tiredness. And so I misjudged the timing going in doing my overtake, and I just couldn't get up the speed to pass the truck and reach a sufficient distance where I could then revert back to the lane that I should have been in. So obviously, just for anyone who in the event that I wasn't clear or it's not obvious, you've got to go into so in a 2-lane country road, you've got to go into the lane of oncoming traffic to overtake. That is fucking obvious, isn't it? So on this occasion I misjudged, and I just couldn't overtake the truck, which was blaring along, and so remained stuck next to the truck. But the thing was, I can't remember if it was because there was an upcoming corner or I was just too dazed, there was an oncoming truck of similar like size and speed, that that emerged really quickly, like, and at a distance that was so, it was just very precarious. And so while in that lane, I was just I was unable to speed up enough to get past the truck I was trying to overtake to then go safely, and I couldn't. And because this oncoming truck was just so close in distance, suddenly, it wasn't an option to slow down and just slip back in behind that truck. It must have been a corner issue, because otherwise I would have seen it way off in the distance. Or potentially I was just being very risky by continuing to try and overtake this truck, even with this oncoming truck, thinking that I was going to be able to slip through. And there was a distinct point where I just resigned myself to just getting wiped off the road. Sounds suicidal, I know, but it was just, again, like being on the boat. I found myself in a situation where I couldn't think of any other way to get out of that situation, and the tiredness meant that I wasn't able to think as quickly as I normally would, and I still can't explain it, because one thing that I learned, I think, from someone way back when, is that it takes a long time for trucks to shift through gears, so that's why they're typically reluctant to slow down. Slow down for anything. It's best for them in those situations just to keep moving, because then it just takes time out of their journey to shift down the gears and then get back up again to reach the speed that they want. And so I just thought, I'm just going to have to get wiped out, because there's no way that this truck can suddenly brake. That's the other part of it. They can't suddenly brake. They have to shift down gears. From my understanding, if there's any truck experts out there who can call bullshit, then yeah, go for it. But yeah, this truck was showing no signs of slowing down, and I was approaching it head on. It wasn't like, and so the truck managed to just bypass me, and I must have been the day's state. It must have just slipped past, but it didn't even press the horn. What gets me, right? Okay, look, maybe this one is was some kind of misunderstanding. But what gets me is that it was a really narrow country road, like what you see in sort of the far regions of the west of the state. And so when trucks pass each other, there's no room for anything really in between. And I was in just a regular sized car, but not like a tiny hatchback or something like that. And so that was part of the resignation, because there was just no room for me to survive that. And this speeding truck just, for some reason, bypassed me while I was in between the trucks, and it didn't even blare its horn, and it just passed me. And then I just I'm pretty sure I just slipped back behind that truck, just in complete disbelief. But the truck didn't even it. From what I could tell from looking at that road, is that the truck needed to veer off to go around me and then resume its thing. But I couldn't see it doing that at the time, because it was going so fast, such a massive truck. Not like a car where you can do that kind of thing. But it just bypassed me, and it didn't even seem to register me at all. And So yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, but make of that what you will. And as I've said in previous episodes, these stories form part of a greater narrative and will make greater sense over time. But yeah, if anyone else has had that experience and wants to, call me out in the comments, go for it. Because it would certainly, it would give me some clarity. But like with the incidents I've spoke of so far, I was just in a daze of disbelief afterward, and then just carried on with my life as you do. And given that I've talked about a fucking dark figure inserting some kind of force into my asshole, and then I moved on after that, living my life. What's a fucking near-death experience? But yeah, I still have no understanding of that incident. Like, even though I was dazed at the time, I still had a comprehension of what occurred, and my memory, given that alcohol has featured very minimally in my life. I'm not trying to make people feel lesser or bad for drinking alcohol, but it does have an impact on the memory and cognition when used excessively. And funnily enough, it's often people who use excessively who adopt that judgmental approach. So before I start talking at you and preaching again, I'm going to leave it there, and please tune in for chapter 8 tomorrow, and the website is inwardmarkings.com and the Instagram is @inwardmarkings. Thank you. See ya.